Hi, good afternoon, everybody. It's Michelle Carville here. So I am the founder of Carville Creative and indeed the curator over on Social Souls, which is the group, the Carville Creative group, which is dedicated to helping people to get totally clued up and educated around what is going on in social media and digital marketing, because things are changing all the time and the tactics change therefore, and there's always new stuff to learn. So we thought it would be a really good idea, as well as our blogs, as well as the content that we share over on the Carville Creative site, as well as the stuff that we do, as well as the books that I write. We thought it would be a really useful resource to get people together to ask questions. So that's what Social Souls is about. Social Souls is a safe, happy place. There's over 200 people now who are part of that group, and given that the group has only been going for a few weeks, about a month, I'm really delighted. And I'm even more delighted because the type of people we've got in the group are really knowledgeable, you know. So we've got a mix, you know. There's people who are there to learn, who have their own businesses, you know. That may be like you. You may have your own business. You may have come onto the Carville Creative page because we've shared something that you found useful. You've enjoyed some of our social media marketing plans. Maybe you've seen me speak. For whatever reason, you've joined the Facebook page on Carville Creative. And that's great. So thank you for being on there, and thank you for being part of that. And of course, what we do now is we continue to share content via Carville Creative. But of course, with all the algorithm changes and all the shifts, I thought it would be a much better use of our time, and indeed a much better learning environment for everybody to be part of a group. So we have created Social Souls. There's over 200 people in that group at the moment. It is a safe and happy place where anybody can ask any question. So whether you're a social media pro, whether you are a business owner, whether you're a leader and you're nervous about, you know, being social, anybody is welcome to that group. And that's what I've seen so far. We've got a real mix. We've got some people who are digital marketeers. We've got some people who manage social media for other people. We've got some business owners. We've got just generally people who are curious about how social is developing and how they can develop their skills and their knowledge and their understanding even better. I posted a video today in the Carville Creative page, which is a quick little live video I did yesterday over on Social Souls, because what we've been doing on Social Souls is for the past 3 weeks, or past couple of weeks, so this will be our third week, we've run a 4-week series. So this Friday is week 3, where we've been inviting people in to answer some of the more common questions that came up when I first asked the question over on Social Souls. So it's been a real treat. We've had Sarah Kerrigan on board, and she's been talking all about Facebook ads. Sarah works with Jellyfish Agency, huge global organization. She flies around the world teaching all sorts of people how to utilize Facebook advertising. So there's nothing she doesn't really know. So it's a real gem that Sarah is in Social Souls, and it was a really fantastic broadcast. But you're only going to be able to see that over on Social Souls, because we're not sharing the stuff that we're talking about as a collective over on Social Souls necessarily onto the Carville Creative page, because we want to keep the gems within the group. So if you want to join the group, it's free. You know, you don't have to pay to join that group. You're getting all that advice and all of that insight, and it's free. So if you want to hop over and join Social Souls, there's a link in this comments box, and I will, you know, welcome you into that group. Following Sarah, we had Vinny Hayward. Now again, Vinny is another guy who is a bit of a digital guru. He's really been around the block. He started off in paid advertising. He's worked for some huge accounts. He's worked for some big global ad agencies, and he came on last week week, and he gave a session all about content, but about how to optimize content. So often we create a piece of content, maybe a video, and then we're not quite sure how to optimize it. You know, how do we chop that down and use it 10 times? How do we optimize a blog post? You know, we may create that blog post once, but how do we create 10 or 12 or even 20 pieces of content out of that one piece of content that fills up our content pipeline for a period of time? So that's really about getting very smart with your content, and how when you've got that content, you can amplify it and you can really optimize it. So that was Vinny. And again, if you go into Social Souls, you will see that video. In the videos down the left-hand side, you'll be able to watch the playback and learn about all of those gems that Vinny was sharing with us, which was absolutely brilliant. This week, which is the little intro I actually posted as a bit of a teaser on the Carvel Creative page, we've got David Taylor. Now, some of you may recall that I've written a couple of books. The first 2 books that I wrote were in collaboration with David. So David is somebody I have trained with. I've got huge respect for his knowledge, and he is also a member of Social Souls. You'll see that he's quite active in there. He asks a lot of questions, he answers a lot of questions, he shares a lot of insights. And David is going to come over onto the live Q&A this Friday at 11 a.m. and he is going to talk again about content, but different to the content Vinny was sharing. So he is going to talk about content reservoirs. Now, what does that mean? What is a content reservoir? And somebody asked that question in Social Souls. And it's a good question, because there are no stupid questions. And, you know, very often we can talk a lot of jargon when we're in digital and social. And of course, you know, content reservoir is just a term I'm familiar with, because, you know, I've written books around using that term. But for some people, you may not know what that means. So very simply, it's just like a body of water, you know, this body of water that constantly has to be topped up so that it can feed the people. Okay, so if we think about our content constantly having to be topped up so it can feed our social media channels and whatever else we need to do with it. So it's about sourcing content, not necessarily how to optimize it once you've got it, but sourcing it. Where does that content come from? What are the ideas, and how do you keep your content reservoir, those content levels, well and truly topped up? So I'm not going to go into any details about that here, because I want you to get all of those gems from the talk that David is going to be doing on Friday. So again, if you want to join in that conversation, it's free to do so, but you have to hop over onto Social Souls. So what else have we got coming up? So next week completes the 4 weeks of these live Q&As for this first time that I'm running them. Next week I've got Vicky Mills. Now Vicky works for Incipio Group, and Incipio Group, really interesting, because I don't know if any of you through the summer, if you're based around London, went to any of those pop-up rooftop restaurants. They've got a really kind of Ibiza vibe to them. Pergola on the roof was one of their concepts. They took over the rooftops of the BBC in White City. They took over the rooftops of a huge building in Paddington Basin, and you go into these rooftop restaurant bars, and there's lots of lovely pop-up eateries all around it. So some, you know, all those new kind of hip trendy pop-up eateries, pizza places, Paddy and Bun, you know, I can't remember all of the names, but she will be sharing some of those insights. And of course, lots of people, and it's just music playing, the sun is out, there's canopies, there's day beds. It's very, very Ibiza kind of vibe. DJs, brilliant. Now, this was a relatively new concept about 18 months ago when it was launched, and they didn't have a big marketing budget. They had to spend the majority of the budget that they had actually getting the building how they needed it to be and paying DJs and getting staff on board and negotiating all of those assets. So their marketing had to be around word of mouth. Now, of course, for word of mouth to work, you got to have a good product, and they had a good product. But they still needed to amplify. And they utilized social media channels to do that. So they reached out, they collaborated, they listened, they spoke to the right people, they created PR opportunities, they created, you know, a real buzz around the concept. They got people talking about it, joined those conversations and helped them to amplify those conversations. So, you know, it's been a real successful part of their amplification and growth. And so Vicky is going to come and talk to us about exactly what they did and how they did it. So if you're starting out, if you've got a new concept, if you're thinking about launching a product, you know, I think there's going to be some really useful insights for you to glean from the discussion. And that's going to be on Friday, the 2nd of March, and that will complete our 4-week video Live at 11 series for now. There will be more, and I'm prepping what they are, and I'm working on the questions that come into Social Souls. You know, there's definitely going to be a live around Instagram, because there's just so much buzz and talk in Social Souls about optimizing Instagram, where Instagram stories fit in, etc. So of course people are sharing lots of news and lots of advice and learning experiences in that group. So that's it from me. I just wanted to hop on here because I don't come onto the page very often. I spend most of my time going live over in Social Souls. But I wanted, you know, it kind of reminded myself today to think, actually, I need to go and tell the people in Carvel Creative, you know, the everybody that's on that page, what we're doing over in Social Souls. So, you know, you are welcome. Come and join the conversation over on Social Souls, because in this ever-changing world of digital marketing and social media, there are no stupid questions. So don't be shy, hop on over, join Social Souls, and if you have got any questions, then that is the place to answer them. So I look forward to hopefully seeing you over on Social Souls on Friday with David. It's going to be a great session. I've worked with David a lot. It's probably going to be entertaining as well as informative, and probably guaranteed to have some kind of very loud purple shirt going on in the broadcast if there's anything to go through previous experiences with David. So yeah, so it should be good fun. So I look forward to seeing you. Thank you for being part of Carvel Creative and being part of that page. But if you want more and you want to ask questions and you want to do a little bit more learning, then I encourage you to hop over to Social Souls. So I will see you Friday, if not before. Thank you. Bye bye for now.